Buenos días y bienvenidos a los estudios de Universal. Uy, disculpa, un momento, por favor.
Where it says WB.
Guten Tag und willkommen zu den Studios. Ach, nein, es tut mir leid. Einen Moment, bitte. Bonjour. Alors, je suis désolé. What's going on here? Hello? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, y'all. The language setting on my console up here was messed up. Anyway, howdy, everybody. Welcome aboard the world-famous Universal Studios Tour. My name is Jose. I'm going to be your guide today as we take you behind the scenes of where some of your favorite movies and TV shows are being made. And in the Minion hat, I saw you turn your head. Happy birthday. I saw that birthday pin there. Now, don't forget, you will be needing a pair of 3D spectacles for the tour today. You don't need to wear them for the entire tour. They make horrible sunglasses. You only need them for one part of the tour. We'll make sure to let you know when to put them on. So, if you do not have 3D glasses, again, if you did not grab 3D glasses like these while you were in that ridiculously long line, now is the time to put your hand in the air, fly down one of our studio tour ambassadors. They'll get you taken care of. Take a look at all the other cars. Looks like everyone's got 3D glasses. We're off to a really good start here. Be careful of your arms and legs once our studio tour ambassadors start to close those tram gates. If you have any small kids with you today, talk about the kind of kids whose feet don't quite touch the floor when they're sitting down. You want to take this moment to place them in the middle of the tram away from the tram gates. It's going to be the safest place for them because we want you to have a fun time out there, but we also want you to be safe. That's right, because the studio tour is a team effort. It's not just me, I'm just the tour guide. All I do is talk. We also have our studio tour ambassadors, so make sure everyone's on board, safe and ready to go. Make sure we're safe to head out. And we also have our driver. And today we got driver Dean with us, and I want him to feel welcome. So on the count of three, I want to hear everybody say, "Hi, Dean." 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Dean!
He's waving back, and we'll be heading out in just a few moments here. So I believe we're waiting for a few more guests to fill up the tram. So while we're waiting on that, if this is your first time taking the tour and you haven't figured it out by now, you're about to check out a live, working studio lot. Take a look on your right. Those are the Metropolitan sets, where productions do exterior city scenes on a grand scale. You've got some sound stages right behind them. We're going to pass by most of that. Now, that being said, there are productions here every day of the week, every hour of the day, and there are productions all along today. They are not actively filming today. Now, there's 3 levels to a production. There's pre-production. It's all the work they do before filming, writing the script, getting the cast together, scouting locations. Post-production is when all the actors have gone home and they're editing everything they film. When they are in production, it basically means they're on the lot, either in one of our sets or one of our sound stages. That being said, again, there are productions in the Metro sets. They're not actively filming today, but they're prepping. So basically, they're moving in all the big stuff to add to the Metro sets. They're specifically doing that for St. Dennis Medical, but they've got another set out there that they're not filming, but it's set up because they will be continually filming. They'll be back tomorrow. And if you're a fan of The Big Bang Theory, you should be excited because they got another spin-off coming up called Stuart Fails to Save the Universe from Warner Brothers. It's going to be airing on HBO Max later next year. It's a spin-off for The Big Bang Theory. Now, right now, we're just waiting for that thumbs up, meaning it's safe for us to head out, and then we'll take you behind the scenes. Oh, we got that thumbs up. We are good to go. All right, y'all. You've met driver Dean. You've met me, tour guide Jose. How about we meet the master of ceremonies for today's tour? Here he is. Ooh, don't want to cut the camera that way. Here he is right from The Tonight Show. It's Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide.
Oh, say.
And the greatest driver. They're the best. I love that. Even though it's
say.
only $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety.
That's right, Jimmy. A few safety rules to go. So don't forget, during the tour, if you have any type of guest assistance needs, if you drop something of value over the side of the tram, if you have a medical emergency, or if you just have any audio or video issues, reach up above your head and grab that red E-cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram. I'll be back to assist you as soon as it is safe for me to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please remain seated and keep your arms and legs inside the tram at all times. There's no smoking of any type during the tour, or anywhere in the theme park for that matter, and that does include vaping. Be ready, all. The tour is going to feature loud noises, fire effects, a whole mess of water effects, so you might get wet. There's also going to be a lot of sudden tram movement, so make sure your personal items are secure. And if you're taking any pictures with your cell phones and cameras, make sure you've got a good grip on them. And then finally, please do not use any selfie sticks. Alright, now the first thing we're going to do for the tour is go down this really long hill known as the movie timeline. On either side of the tram, you'll start to see a chronological history of some of Universal Studios films. Starting with this first movie poster on the right, Damon and Pythias. That was Universal Studios' first movie ever made back in 1914. Now, I like to think there's an Easter egg on the movie timeline. This poster on the right of car 1 that we're passing by, that is going to be the only poster on the entire movie timeline that is not a movie poster. Why is it there? Well, it's a poster of Universal Studios' mascot, Woody Woodpecker. And if you notice the year above it, it's in 1940. That was the year Woody joined Universal. So, the year above each movie poster, it's going to be the year that movie was released. And above each year, you'll see that year's iteration of the Universal Studios logo. Going back to Woody Woodpecker, he was created by a man by the name of Walter Lantz. He created other characters for Universal as well, characters like Wally Walrus, Edie Panda, Chili Willy the Penguin, but he also did a little bit of directing for Universal. One of his directing gigs was for a live-action movie called The King of Jazz. The King of Jazz filmed on the lot in 1930. It was a musical with segments of dance and some sketch comedy scattered throughout the film. And the segment Walter Lantz directed was an animated sequence. That's why he brought it in for it. And if you're curious, you can find it easily online. Just do an internet search for King of Jazz animated sequence. You'll find a cute short about a safari hunter being chased by a lion. But again, the rest of the movie was live action. These were real people like you and me. And one of those other segments featured a grand piano that was so big, they fit the entire orchestra inside of it. And with how big that was, they had to build in the largest soundstage on the lot at the time, Soundstage 12, which was used for many Universal productions. And here's a look at some of the classic scenes that have filmed in there, including the classic Universal monsters. Originally built in 1929, it is still on the lot today, here on the left-hand side. So much history in there. The first 20 seasons of The Voice filmed in there, and one of the biggest names in NFL history is filmed in Soundstage 12. Of course, I'm talking about Taylor Swift. Her music video, Me, filmed in there. And look, if you're not a Swiftie, what can I say? Haters gonna hate, baby. But like I said, there's a lot of history in there. Looks like we might have a little bit of production activity going on here on our left-hand side. Now, if you take a look on your screen today, you'll see that I paused the clip to show you what an empty soundstage looks like. They're basically giant warehouses where they can build all of those sets. And ahead of us, on the left side, looks like Soundstage 7 has an open elephant door. So keep your eyes out for that, because I'm not talking about 9, 10, and 11. Excuse me for a hot moment here. These three sound stages, yes, 7 is open. These three sound stages have been used for shows like Ted, Quantum Leap, both versions of the show have filmed here, the sequel series, as well as the original run with Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. Soundstage 11 was used for some of the scenes from Serenity, the movie spin-off of the TV show Firefly with Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk. But most recently, Soundstage 11 was used for Season 4 of Hacks. They're already on the lot working on Season 5. They're in Soundstages 16 and 17 now. They're going to be coming up a little bit later on the right-hand side. Now, you've got their first 4 seasons all available on HBO Max. Don't forget, it is a Universal television production. The comedy series stars Emmy Award winners Hannah Einbender and Jean Smart, who won for the 4th year in a row for Best Actress in a Comedy Series. Now, Soundstages 7 and 8, those two, and Soundstage 14 here on the left. These 3 sound stages, sorry, this is my first tour of the day, so I'm keeping my eyes out. Oh, look, we got the trailer here for, I can see that sign on their door there. I don't think they're actively filming today, but I'm going to keep my eyes out. Now, these 3 sound stages that are pointing, 7, 8, 14, they tend to be a package deal. They were the home for all 6 seasons of Superstore. And most recently, they were home for all 4 seasons of Bel-Air, the dramatic reboot of the 1990 sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That 4th and final season will drop later this year on Peacock. We can find the first 3 seasons and other Universal shows like The Office or its spin-off, The Paper.
We sell products made out of paper, toilet tissue, and local newspapers. That is in order of quality.
My name is Ned Sampson. I am your new editor-in-chief.
Have you read this paper?
It's on. Well, I'm going to make it better. I hope it's not too disruptive to have me shake it with you.
All current episodes are on Peacock, and all of those episodes filmed in these 2 sound stages on the right, 18 and 19, which are currently being used for another Peacock show, 5-Star Weekend. It's going to star Jennifer Garner. But in front of these sound stages, you might have noticed that sign for Illumination, with some minions in front of that sign up to no good. Illumination is known for their animated features, but they've also worked with Universal to bring you some of the attractions you can find in the upper lot. And sometimes you can combine live action and animation and get a character like Ted on the left side of Car 2 protecting these bungalows. That, of course, is a live action version of the CGI character Ted, who is in post-production for his show. All of Season 1 is on Peacock, and it's brought to you by Universal Content Productions, but it's written, directed, and executive produced by its creator, Seth MacFarlane.
Hi everyone, Seth MacFarlane here, and I'm excited to share with you a behind-the-scenes look at my Peacock original event series, TED. It's a prequel series set in 1993, and that means our skilled craftspeople had to build a high school, a house, and even recreate downtown Boston as it looked back in the day using the exterior sets and facades you're about to see on the tour. But I should warn you, TED is intended for mature audiences only. So grown-ups, tell the kids to go in the other room before you watch. Oh, come on!
Like I said, Ted is protecting the bungalows on the left. The bungalows are used as offices for production companies like Mark Platt Productions, which brought you the live-action How to Train Your Dragon and the Oscar-winning movie musical Wicked. Don't forget we got the sequel, Wicked for Good, scheduled to hit theaters next month. Currently on the left of car 1, we have what looks like an office building. This is actually 2 sound stages. 25 and 26 were built with these offices connecting to them to help productions flow smoother. There's even a writer's office up on the top floor, and if it weren't for those writers, almost no productions would happen anywhere in Hollywood. And if you couldn't tell with these parking placards in front of these 2 sound stages, well, maybe the poster at the end will give it away. That is where they're currently working on Season 2 of St. Dennis Medical. Now, on the left, we got some active production happening. Like I said, they are prepping. So they're setting up everything. You can see how they're adding to what's already built in our metropolitan sets. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the metro sets are where productions do exterior city scenes on a grand scale. So to give you a better idea of what I mean, inside sound stages 25 and 26 is where they film the interior scenes for St. Dennis Medical. All of the scenes that take place inside the hospital. They also have scenes that take place in front of the hospital, and those film in the metro sets, more specifically in Brownstone Street. Now, because of the way we're going to go today, we've got some picture cars here. All of these emergency vehicles, these are picture cars for St. Dennis Medical. They're not real emergency vehicles. You saw some real ones over by that fire station 51 that we saw on the movie timeline. Now, going back to the Big Bang Theory spinoff. Stuart Fails to Save the Universe is currently filming in Courthouse Square, which some of you know more from the Back to the Future trilogy. Now, because of how they're set up and everything set up on New York Street, we don't get to go through the area, but you can still see it. So as we pull into London Square, I'll point them out for you. So as we're pulling in, keep your eyes on the right. This first street that we're going to pass by, you can see all the way down to New York Street and see everything they've got set up out there. See how it's set up for Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. Now, either way, you're going to notice a majority of the sets all over the lot, not just here in the metro sets. A majority of them are facades, which means they only build what you see on screen, the front of the building and maybe 1 or 2 of the sides. Now, you can see around some of these corners, if there's ever anything built on the other side of a facade, it's a completely different type of building altogether. And as we pass these last few, you'll see how thin they are. There's not enough room on the inside for an actual apartment complex or retail space, anything like that. And before I explain that, Keep your eyes on the right again. You'll see some tents set up for where the cast and crew will have their meal breaks when they're not filming. But going back to the facades, there's nothing inside of them except for a bunch of 2x4s holding everything up. Some of you might be thinking, Jose, is that safe? 2x4s holding up all of this brick, metal, mortar, concrete, steel. That's more movie magic for you. The facades are made with panels of plywood, foam rubber, fiberglass, all molded and painted to look like the real thing. And this brick wall on the right is a great example of that, and you can see up close and personal. As we pass by this last portion, this is where you get a better view of it. Take a good close look at the wall, and you can see the seams in the panels, letting you know that it's all that material I mentioned, just molded and painted to look like the real thing. With all of the different productions that can come film on the lot, though, sometimes we get a big name that sticks around to help make a tour a little bit more exciting. And don't worry, get some pictures in for New York Street while you can. Don't worry, we're going to get pass right by that again after we're done with King Kong 360 3D.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you under the feet. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you on the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Adventure awaits us on Skull Island. Peter Jackson will be back in just a moment to let you know exactly when to put on those 3D glasses. But before he does, please don't forget to remain seated, secure your personal items. You're always welcome to take pictures or film all throughout the tour, but for just this portion, please, no flash photography. So as we start to roll, it's a great time to double check. Again, please make sure your flash is off. your 3D glasses. The two screens you just saw that are some of the largest in the world. They're both 40 feet tall and 180 feet long. Peter Jackson and the team at Weta Effects worked on this. Weta Effects is a CGI special effects company that have won 7 Oscars for their work in film. You can see their work in movies like Superman and Fantastic Four, First Steps. You can see their work on Hulu if you watch Alien Earth, where they also do some practical effects. Now right now, streaming on Peacock, you can see their work in Megan 2.0, which is brought to you by Universal and Blumhouse Productions, which is making a comeback this year for Halloween Horror Nights. Now, as promised, here comes New York treat again on the left, so if you didn't get any good pictures, this is your last chance to get up. And then we'll be passing by those picture cars for St. Dennis Medical as well. Now, as we pass by this area, I thought that was a unicycle for a second there. As we pass by the Metro sets, I mentioned earlier how a majority of the sets on the lot are facades. The exceptions are called practical sets. That means there are rooms built inside, so you can actually film inside as well as outside. I'll do my best to point out those practical sets as we pass them by. Now, you might be feeling a little bit of deja vu. Now, we're not going to be pulling a U-turn to go back into the Metro set. After we're past this triploid on the left here, we're going to keep going in that direction to reach our next destination. So that means, 1, you can remain looking on the left, see some more of the Metro sets. As cool as that can be, I need to point out number 2, my favorite thing on the back lot, which would be coming up on the right-hand side. We are going to pass right in front of the classic Universal Monster mural. One of the amazing things about this wall you're about to see, the entire mural was all painted by one man and a whole mess of spray paint cans. This was all done by the talented Tristan Eaton. One of the monsters on that mural also filmed in Soundstage 31. Here on the left, connected to Soundstage 30, where you see that big red stamp for The Voice.
Hey there, Studio Tour. It's Snoop Dogg from The Voice. We tape our show right here at stage 30 and 31 in the heart of the Universal backlot. These state-of-the-art sound stages allow us to bring every round of our show to life, from the blind auditions to the live finale, and everything. You know what America was. People sucks, lady. Yo, now. You just see the underwear I'm wearing.
You might have noticed Reba McEntire is returning as one of the coaches for this upcoming 28th season. And it wasn't very difficult for Universal to convince her to come back. She's in the 2 sound stages next door to The Voice, 32 and 33, working on season 2 of her show, Happy's Place. Now, inside those sound stages where they film the interior scenes for her bar. They might have exterior scenes just like St. Dennis Medical, but they don't have to film in the Metro sets. Those are just the big city scenes. There are tons of different sets on the lot, including some residential neighborhood ones or European ones, like Little Europe here on the left-hand side, where all of the classic Universal monsters filmed, with actors like Lon Chaney Jr., who played the Wolfman, and he was following the footsteps of his father, Lon Chaney, who played Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Alright, y'all, we're about at the halfway point of the tour today, so I do want to remind you, we are no longer in the theme park. We are in the studio lot, which is private property. So it's very important that you remain seated on the tram, but don't forget about the E-cord if you've got an emergency, or you just can't wait to use the restroom. We're getting ready to pull into Soundstage 50 for a practical effect, which means it's all going to physically happen for us to interact with. So you don't need your 3D glasses. You are done with those. There's no CGI, no movie screens in here. But since it is a practical effect, again, please remain seated and secure your personal items. If you've taken the tour in the past, you may remember that this next bit is a hot set. meaning they're filming just on a break, but it's set up as if it were a 1980s San Francisco subway. Well, just like a movie or a TV show, she got a reboot. So it is now set up as a modern-day 2025 San Francisco subway. So take a look around as we enter. You'll see what I mean. You'll see some e-ticket booths here and there. In the far left corner by where car 1 ends up, you'll see some electric bikes getting a charge. Even the filming equipment has been pulled into the 21st century. There used to be real-world ads in here, but with this reboot, if you take a look around, you'll see all these posters and see subtle hints or foreshadowing as to what's about to happen. One of the things you won't see here from the 80s are payphones. For all of you youngsters who don't know what a payphone is, ask your parents. After they're done crying, they'll explain it to you. But something that hasn't changed from the 80s are earthquakes. So you might want to hold on tight, because this could be the big one. Earthquake, the big one. Now, if we were a real production filming that scene we just filmed was barely 2 minutes long, and we filmed it in one take, meaning it only took one attempt to get done. But that's going to be a different story for a real production. There's going to be different camera angles that they'll film from. An actor might mess up a line, so they'll have to start again from the beginning. Each new take, they have to reset all of those practical effects you just saw. And then after they're done filming, which could be a full day up to an entire week of work, don't forget about post-production, where they edit to add music, CGI, sound effects. That could be up to a month of work. All of that time and work for a 2-minute scene. And sometimes it can take even longer to film because they need to replace the actor with a stunt actor, some of the most unsung heroes in Hollywood. And that's changing with their new Oscar category. Right now we're pulling into Universal's recreation of Amity Island, where we have stuntman George waiting to show us some scuba stunts and scuba safety. He is a trained professional, so yeah, please remain seated on the tram and also secure your personal items. We don't want you to drop anything in the water. across the way we wanted it to. But that wasn't necessarily the case for Jaws when they were in pre-production in 1974. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going? Now, pre-production, that's all the work they do before filming. Remember, I was talking about that. They were already so far behind schedule, they had to cut corners to catch up, including testing their 3 mechanical sharks. So they didn't find out till it was too late when they were finally filming off the coast of Martha's Vineyard that they were going to be in salt water, which would get in the gears of the mechanical sharks, corroding all of the electrical equipment in them, causing daily malfunctions that happened so much in all 3 sharks. The crew ended up calling the movie Flaws, and with other delays, it pushed the release of the film from the winter of 1974 all the way to the summer of 1975. Extreme weather can also cause delays in production, but sometimes a production wants extreme weather. More often than not, it has to be created for that. Like we're going to create for you as a practical effect here in Old Mexico.
I don't know if the other cars can hear the crackling, but we have to hear Carl. So I'm switching to my backup handheld mic for the rest of the tour. But for right now, I'm going to go off camera so you can remain focused on the left, and I'll give you the play-by-play on how Universal Studios creates extreme weather as a practical effect. So we're starting with a thunderstorm. You've got rain coming from sprinklers in above us. They shoot water into the air to fall naturally to simulate rain. That lightning effect is relatively easy to create. Lightning is just coming from strobe lights scattered all amongst the rooftops here. And of course, whenever you see lightning, you're going to hear thunder. And the thunder is just coming from speakers hidden throughout the set as well. A thunderstorm is pretty crummy weather, but I said extreme, which means flash flood. All of you in cars 3 and 4, I hope you're wearing ponchos because you are at the point of impact. Everyone in cars 1 and 2, don't worry. That water's coming for you too, boo. I love watching people react like they're allergic to water. You can see the water draining under the bridge here. The way the effect is done is thousands of gallons of recycled water is what's used. It goes under the bridge, and goes back up the top of the hill. The next tram that comes by, the driver is in control. The driver has a button like you would use for a garage door opener, and that button tells a computer when to start the flash flood. Here's a look at that practical effect in action in a movie called Big Fat Liar. While that clip was playing, you might have noticed we traded Old Mexico for the Old West. We are pulling into 6 Points, one of the Western sets on the line. Now, here's something you might not have thought of when it comes to Western sets. Whatever production is filming in one, it doesn't have to specifically be set in a Western era. Now, let's use 6 Points as an example. 6 Points was used for a modern day setting when they filmed an episode of Castle, here with Nathan Fillion in Stanicatic. HBO filmed here for a futuristic sci-fi setting when they did an episode of Westworld here. And even time travel. That's right, Quantum Leap filmed here at 6 Points as well as all over the lot. And you have both seasons of that sequel series with Raymond Lee, Ernie Hudson, Caitlin Bassett, and Mason Alexander Park, all available on Peacock. If you're a fan of the original run, don't worry, you can catch those, all of those seasons there as well. I believe it's 8 seasons. Used to love that shit growing up. Now, back in the 1920s, the silent film era, Westerns were the bread and butter for Universal Studios. But with the advent of sound in film, Westerns lost popularity for a few decades. But Universal Studios had something to fill in the gap, those classic Universal monsters that I love to talk about. Now, as we turn the corner, if you look on the left, you can see how we're passing by the sound stages for The Voice and Happy's Place again. Right in front of these sound stations, you have this beautiful man-made body of water known as Park Lake. One of the classic Universal monsters filmed their introductory scene there. Take a look. That's right, Creature from the Black Lagoon, which was originally released in 1954 as a 3D film. Now, the Gilman, who was
was the monster in that movie. It's just one example of a fishy monster Universal loves working with. There's also Bruce the Shark from Jaws. We're about to pass by Amity Island. We're looking right to another train experiencing it. But keep in mind, Amity Island wouldn't have become part of the studio tour if it weren't for its director, Steven Spielberg.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the tram. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created.
Coming up on the right, you've got one of those practical sets that I mentioned. So basically, again, that's basically a real house with rooms on the inside. It's just no one lives there and they don't have any running water, no actual plumbing. But right behind it, you can see a facade. And see what I mean when I keep talking about how they only build what you see on screens. Now that you have a better idea of the difference between the two, see if you can tell which is which here on Colonial Street, which some of you know more as Wisteria Lane for Desperate Housewives. Now this is the only way in and out, so you can remain focused on the left, and you can see the other side all the way out. But I'll help you out with some of these houses. You've got this lilac house on the left. Imagine that in black and white, and you got the home for the Munsters, and they're a show from the 60s. If you want a little bit more modern, you've got this yellow practical set right next door. You might recognize it as Davy's home from Never Have I Ever. And you have all 4 seasons of the show with Maitreya Ramakrishnan, Ramona Young, and Lee Rodriguez, all available on Netflix for you to catch. We've got some VIPs out here doing a set visit to the area. They're not thinking about moving in. Now, if you've seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you might recognize Colonial Street. It was used in a few of their episodes and heavily featured in their Emmy-nominated episode Hush. And if you like holiday movies, you can see all of Colonial Street, bless you, on Amazon Prime in Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy. And depending on which streaming service you have, if you have the kind with commercials, you might have seen ads for Wayfair. All of those Wayfair ads filmed right here on Colonial Street. For about 2.5 months, Colonial Street was completely closed off to the tour because they were filming kind of a new TV show called The Burbs that's going to star its executive producer, Keke Palmer. Now, I say it's kind of a new TV show because it is a reboot of the 1989 dark comedy The Burbs with Tom Hanks, hey Danielle, that also filmed here on Colonial Street where they even blew up a house. And look, if you like watching things blow up, make sure to check out Oscar winner Oppenheimer on Peacock, or Braden there on the left. How you doing, buddy? But do me a favor, don't blow up the house behind Braden, because that's where Ted lives.
Festivities beginning.
How many we got?
Well, let's see. We got 20 items.
Fantastic.
Do you think we're getting 20?
Come on, Johnny, we're doing a public service. If a kid leaves the house in a less than stellar Halloween costume, he's got to get the bad news before he makes a fool of himself all over town. We're Samaritans.
So with today's tour, you've seen a few locations from around the world. But right now, some of you might be thinking, Jose, what? Why are we going this way? There's no sets here. Well, believe it or not, these are sets. They're just provided by Mother Nature. If you've seen Netflix's Bird Box with Sandra Bullock, you may or may not have seen some of these trees. All of her campsite scenes were filmed out here. Or if you're a fan of 911 on Fox with Angela Bassett, one of their episodes filmed here that featured a flipped-over limousine that was caught on fire. And that limousine is an example of a picture car. We're about to have a picture car display coming up on the left. So as we approach it, I want to let you know we are almost finished with the tour. From here, there's only about 10 minutes left. So please don't forget about remaining seated on the tram, or pull in an e-cord if you have an emergency, jump something down over the side of the tram, or you just gotta use that restroom right now. On the right, you can see a small sneak peek into Halloween Horror Nights. You know, one of the mazes built right in front of the Bates Motel from the Psycho franchise. And coming up on the left, as we turn the corner, you've got Universal's scale replica of the Hollywood sign getting into the spooky season. And if you're wondering where the real Hollywood sign is, it's just on the other side of this mountain. Going back to Bates Motel, if you're familiar with that, you know that right around the corner, you'll find the Psycho House. That's right, this is the original Psycho House, and that is the owner and proprietor of Bates Motel, Norman Bates. I didn't know he was going to be here today. You know what, let's see if maybe we can get an autograph from him. Hey Norman, how you doing, pal? I think we have some fans on the tram, but I don't have a pen for autographs. Would you happen to have a pen on you? There we go. And, oh, that's not a pen. You know what? It's cool. We're gonna keep on going. No, you're fine. No, Norman, calm down. I'm gonna tell your mother. Okay, we're around the corner. I can't see anymore. Car forward, be careful. Oh boy. As scary as Norman can be, there's nothing supernatural about him. And on the topic of supernatural, if you've seen Ariana Grande's short film, Brighter Days Ahead, the portion of that film that features the song Supernatural filmed in this set, which was originally built for Paramount Pictures and their film War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. So whether you're a fan of Tom Cruise, Ariana Grande, or just want to see a little bit more of Halloween Horror Nights maze out here, we're stopping here so you can get some pictures. And while you take those pictures, I'm going to play a clip of an interview with the War of the Worlds director, Steven Spielberg, and its production designer, Rick Carter.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around the vision of Steven.
When you first began to sit down and talk about War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep pressing me. Listen, listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now I'm closed. Robbie, get in. Get in.
So again, this set was originally built for a sci-fi thriller from Paramount Pictures. The next set you're about to see is from a more recent sci-fi thriller, this time from Universal and Monkey Paw Productions. You're about to see the original Jupiter's Claim set from Jordan Peele's Nope. And as we approach it, let's hear more about it from the Oscar-winning writer-director himself.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky G. Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Sheriff. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Right. A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. Not looking so live anymore. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy of a gold rush frontier town lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center of the Riverview hotspot. What's a bad miracle? Now we'll find out. Welcome to the world of no.
if you have not seen Nope, here's some insight. Again, the movie's called Nope, N-O-P-E. Jordan Peele chose that title because the letters stand for Not of Planet Earth. Little slight spoiler there for you to hopefully encourage you to check that movie out. Now, Jordan Peele is just one example of the type of director Universal Studios loves working with. Directors who continually push the envelope of filmmaking, whether it's by using the newest technologies or using something as simple as a green screen or a blue screen, like the one coming up here on the right. Now, don't worry about this production vehicle. We'll get a better view right after we pass that. But you can see how this blue screen is at the end of this big dip in this cemented area. All of this behind Jupiter's claim is called Falls Lake. You can see how this area can be filled up with varying levels of water. You can do any type of water scene here. And in post-production, with some CGI, you can edit out the blue screen and change the location of where you're filming. Change the time of day. Maybe even look like it's happening on the moon. Or you can use the blue screen to add a monster like Jean Jacket. That's another reference to Nope. And whenever I bring up directors who push the envelope of filmmaking, the name most people tend to think of is Mr. Steven Spielberg.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. This is my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom, and when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left, and then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
The argument could be made that the studio lot is how Steven Spielberg got his start. The same argument could be made for the Universal Studios Hollywood theme park. The studio lot is why the theme park was built, and both of them together have led to the studio tour as you know it today. That being said, this is going to be the end of our tour, but hopefully today's tour has given you a better idea of what it, the theme park, and the studio lot all strive to do. Bring you some of your favorite memories. Whether they're memories of watching a movie or a TV show at home, memories of seeing where they're made on the studio tour, or memories of being put in the action in the theme park. Especially with the upcoming Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift, a new roller coaster that will be opening in the upper lot early next year. All right, y'all, when we hit that final stop, please remain seated and be careful of your arms and legs as the studio tour ambassadors start to open the tram gates. While they work on that, take a quick look around. Make sure you have all of your personal items with you. A cell phone might have slipped out of your pocket. You don't want to leave behind any newly bought power-up bands you got today. If you have any trash, please take that with you as well. Once the gates are open, watch your step down from the tram and look for the big silver bins. That's where you want to leave your 3D glasses. After that, if you have any questions about the tour, the theme park, Halloween Horror Nights, or questions just about Universal Studios, again, I'm tour guide Jose. I'll be standing by the digital studio directory. Coming up, and I'll do my best to help you out. Other than that, all y'all were fantastic. On behalf of driver Dean and myself, thank you so much for taking the tour. Enjoy the rest of your day here at Universal Studios Hollywood, and like a certain plumber from Super Nintendo World would say, see you next time. To purchase any of the following products, make sure to check out UPHE.com, the Universal Pictures Home Entertainment, UPHE.com, or find any of our retail shops. And for more behind-the-scenes action, make sure to follow Universal Studios Lot on Instagram.